Comic creators, your new crowdfunding launch sidekick is here. The Comic Book Crowdfunding Planner from ComixLaunch is your ultimate step-by-step companion to planning, optimizing, and executing your crowdfunding campaign, helping hardworking creators stay organized, execute with confidence, and maximize success on every launch.
Hey, I'm Tyler James, publisher of Comics Tribe and host of the ComixLaunch podcast,
which has been helping comic creators launch successful crowdfunding campaigns for nearly a decade. In that time, I've seen the same struggles come up again and again. Making a great comic, but no idea where to start with crowdfunding it, overwhelm at all the steps to launch and fear of missing something important, exhaustion during the campaign, and struggling with the emotional roller coaster of launching.
and finishing the campaign and still being unsure what worked, what didn't, and how to get better results the next time. If any of those challenges sound familiar,
you are not alone, and it's not your fault. Crowdfunding a comic requires a completely different skill set than making one. The good news is I have something that can help. To celebrate the 10th anniversary of ComixLaunch, I've distilled years of my own crowdfunding experience and the insights of hundreds of amazing guests I've had on the show into one essential tool. This new comic book crowdfunding planner is really 4 powerful books in one, designed to help during every phase of your launch. First, it's a launch planner, providing a step-by-step roadmap including guided templates and battle-tested ComixLaunch exercises to build a winning campaign. Second, it's an execution checklist, including action items and pro tips for every aspect of your project so you can launch with confidence. Third, it's a daily campaign journal with dedicated pages to track your campaign progress each day of your launch, prioritize your daily promotional activities, and stay in command of your project. And fourth, it's a post-launch debrief with a proven post-mortem process to capture what worked, what didn't, and what you'll improve on so that your next launch is even better. The Comic Book Crowdfunding Planner is perfect for first-time Kickstarter creators who want a clear roadmap from start to funded.
When it comes to running a Kickstarter, I never thought I could do it until I started using Tyler's tools and tips and tricks.
I have raised over $40,000 US. Everything I have launched has been done using the ComixLaunch tools. It's been the backbone of my success as a creator.
Experienced crowdfunders who want to refine and optimize their launch processes and get to that next level of funding success.
I've raised over $30,000 on Kickstarter. I wouldn't have been able to accomplish this without ComixLaunch. Tyler's guides have made it an effortless and stress-free process.
Tailor-made specifically for comic book creators, writers, artists, and publishers looking to streamline their campaigns and optimize their crowdfunding efforts.
The ability to break down the daunting task of running a Kickstarter into small, well-defined, achievable tasks gave me the confidence to finally launch a campaign.
I really needed an instruction manual, and that is exactly what Tyler gave me.
Perfect for anyone who has struggled with crowdfunding overwhelm and could use a physical tool to help focus before, during, and after your launch.
The timing of finding Tyler and his work was perfect for me because I didn't know what I was doing.
What helped me was getting access to all of the tools that Tyler puts together.
6 campaigns raised about almost $27,000, and I can honestly say I wouldn't have had anywhere near the success without ComixLaunch.
The tools included in Tyler James' planner were essential to getting the ball rolling for me.
Everything I know about running Kickstarters I learned from ComixLaunch.
Finally, it's for all the thousands of ComixLaunch listeners who have been asking for a resource like this for nearly a decade. For rewards, the new planner is available in a number of formats. A beautiful physical planner with a durable faux leather cover, digital PDF version with ready-to-print pages, and discounted multi-pack bundles for creators and publishers with many project launches on the horizon. All backers will be thanked by name on the ComixLaunch podcast, and there's limited show sponsorship opportunities available. I'm also opening my schedule for a few one-on-one crowdfunding coaching and mentorship opportunities, and you can also get access to some of the ComixLaunch Pro courses during this campaign.
Let's make your next launch the best one ever.
Back the Comic Book Crowdfunding Planner today, and I can't wait to see what you launch next.
Prepare to launch in 3, 2, 1.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to today's ComixLaunch Daily live stream brought to you by the Comics Launch Planner. I'm Tyler James. I have an awesome assembled group waiting backstage to join me shortly for this special stream, and I appreciate everybody taking some time out of their busy schedules and busy launch schedules to join us and share some insights. It's going to be a great conversation today. I want to kick things off with just the agenda. What I'm going to do today is welcome everybody here that's going to catch this live, going to tune in for the replay. And I want to encourage folks, if you have crowdfunding questions, if you have questions for any of my amazing guests, if you want to share your projects that are live or share and give us some feedback on the topic and tip of the day, let's make this engaging. This is your campaign. This is, my opportunity to sort of celebrate 10 years of Comics Launch, not just with the planner, but the podcast and everything else that we're doing. I do want to give a quick update on how the launch is doing and some things for backers to know. I'm going to shout out a few of the backers live while we are here. And then I'm going to get into a daily launch lesson, tip of the day. And then we're going to have that tip of the day be a jump start for a conversation that I will have with our amazing guests. That includes some Comics Launch favorite guests from the past, and as well as some first-time guests on the Comics Launch show. So it's a nice cross-section of creators we have here. To kick this off, though, I do want to shout out the Comics Launch crowdfunding planner, which is live on Kickstarter. We're over the 200% funding mark. It was a day one fund. We got that project we love tag, and I got a nice acknowledgement from Oriana in the publishing category and Sam in the comics category, just congratulating on the launch. And also Sam is going to join us later in this month for one of these daily live streams. So I appreciate everybody jumping in. We are in our early backer pricing mode, something I wanted to do for those of you on the VIP list and for those of you that have been listening to the podcast for forever. Save you a little bit of money, grab the planner at the best possible price for the first week of the campaign. But the sooner you get on, the more fun we are going to have. Now, one of the things that is inside the planner, and I wanted to just use this, I thought this would be cool to show off. One of the questions that I got on yesterday's live stream is, hey, Tyler, did you use this planner at all to plan this Kickstarter? I know it's definitely meta, and I definitely did. This is the goal is to have this planner be useful, not just for comic book launches, but for you can use it for a lot of different crowdfunding projects. And one of the main things that one of the main reasons I wanted to make this planner is because every time I launch a Kickstarter, I end up printing out these journal pages that I use to sort of plan my daily actions, keep myself accountable, as well as to have a record of what the heck I did during the launch to get the results that I have. And so, and what this also does is it sort of makes it feel like I am in control of my campaign. Sometimes when you're in the middle of a launch, it can feel like, there's so much to do. What do I do? And then you start to get like analysis paralysis. And so one of the practices that I've found that really helps campaign after campaign is just taking the time to, at the beginning of each day of the launch, taking your time to plan your day with a acknowledgement of, hey, here are the actual metrics. Here's what the status is today. And then what can I do to move my campaign forward? And so I just want to show you, what I filled out today in the actual daily launch planner. Obviously I've mocked this up so it'll be easier to present, but I have it right here. I again don't have the physical planner yet, but here is an example of a printout that I did, but I've translated it for all of you. So I just want to walk through this. So how these daily launch pages work is you're going to start out, and this is day 2 of the campaign. It's a Wednesday. Here's the actual date. And then the next thing that I do is I just plug in, hey, what are my metrics as of this morning when I'm planning it out? So as of this morning, we were a little under $7,000, 198% funded, 178 backers, 23 days to go. And because I was funded, I plugged in a stretch goal. Usually for a lot of our campaigns, we've been seeing, you might get about a third of what you're ended up raising throughout the entire campaign on day one, maybe a little bit more, 35%. And so for a stretch goal, I just sort of plucked in $15,000, and also added, these are the followers, the campaign followers, like official campaign followers. So 178 backers, almost twice that in terms of followers. So there's a lot of people out there sort of watching, and hopefully we'll jump in. And here's my dollars to go. Now, usually if I'm in a campaign and I'm not yet funded, the dollars to go will be based on what my project goal is. But since we're already past the project goal, I base my dollars to go based on 15K. So just a couple different ways to look at it. The next thing that on my daily planner pages is today I'm especially grateful for. And I always have to add this in because gratitude is the anxiety killer. It is the feeling lack killer. It is the feeling helpless killer. If you can just remember to put yourself in a state of gratitude, you will be so much better off for it. And so, what I'm grateful for today is just so many familiar backers, so many familiar names, people that have been listening to the podcast since like the very first episodes, as well as people that I've met over the years. And then also a lot of unfamiliar names. So it's also a chance for like hearing from people that I've never actually interacted with, but they're like, hey, yeah, I've been listening to your podcast for a while. It's been helping me with my launches. And so like launching on Kickstarter is giving me that opportunity and just seeing people share it. So definitely grateful for that. Then, prioritizing action. Again, there's so much that you could possibly do during a Kickstarter launch. But what's the single most important thing that you get done today? Identifying that at the beginning of each day of your launch is going to help you. So today, a big promotional thing that I'm hoping to do to have fun and to make this feel like an event, which was yesterday's tip of the day, is to get this daily creator live stream off to a great start. So this is my absolute focus. But then also what else is priority, high priority stuff, would be, we've got some ads rolling for this campaign. So I want to check on those and make any tweaks if needed. I need to send a backer kit launch blast out today. And then I need to update the Kickstarter comic book creator Kickstarter outreach script that my assistant sends on my behalf to invite more folks to come join for these live streams. So those are my sort of high performance priority things. And by just doing that, there's obviously other things that I'm going to do to promote, but if I can check off those 3 high priority things, and then I know that I've done the most important things to move the needle on my campaign. Another thing that this daily launch journal things does is it also focuses on some of the metrics that matter during a campaign. Average pledge level being one of the key performance indicators of a campaign. And right now, the average pledge level for this campaign is about $38.99. Usually my rule of thumb for what I'm hoping and I'm expecting to see the average pledge level be is usually anywhere between 1.5 to 2 times what my what the physical pledge is for the physical item, which is usually like the most popular pledge, like just the baseline physical pledge. Right now that's a $27 for our early backer for the planner. So this is a little bit close, but a little bit on the low side. So that gives me an indicator that, maybe there's some things I can do to up the average pledge level. I also have some Google Analytics data that I pump in here. I have noticed that the Google Analytics data seems to be lagging a little bit in terms of not updating as much as it used to. But as you can see, launch day, very impressive 27% page conversion in terms of people that hit the page that actually back. And that every person that hit the page, according to Google anyway, is worth about $14.60. Where that is valuable is it just says, hey, every time you reach out to somebody and ask them to go check out the page directly, or every time you run, if you're running Facebook ads and you know what it costs to get a click to your Kickstarter page, this little metric is a good one to know, because hey, everybody that hits your campaign page is worth on average about $14, which is pretty good. Am running some ads. We have about $237 in ads that have been spent so far. That's driven 15 pledges, $452. Cost per pledge, it cost me about $15 to get a pledge using ads, and the average pledge level is 38. So the return on ad spend is 1.9. Now that's a little bit lower than what I like to see. I'm usually looking for 2 to 2.5 to 3x, but I also know that this is a lower price item, and so it might not be one where doing much better than 2 is going to be possible. But this is something that also it takes a little while, at least 48 hours usually, for the algorithms to optimize. So I'll be paying attention to that. And then the second half of the daily launch pages, I've got a little temperature check. Feeling pretty calm, feeling pretty good on this campaign. It gives me some space to just plot out like when I'm going to do stuff and what I'm going to do. And then also a brilliant idea zone. So as I have ideas, I want to jot them down, things that might not necessarily be a to-do list or a high priority thing, but just something I want to make sure I remember. I'll put that in there. And then the last thing that I've included in these daily launch pages is a episode of the Comics Launch podcast that's appropriate for this particular time in your launch. So, this particular episode points to a recent episode on using featured and secret rewards. I'm actually not using any secret rewards yet because we're in the early backer phase, but I may end up rolling some of those out there. So anyway, this is just an opportunity for me to show you how my daily launch pages work a little bit. And hopefully that is, you can see some value in just like having a little launch system for each day to help you plan, help you get organized, and go forward from there. All right. I want to thank some backers, and then we'll get on to tip of the day, and then we'll bring on our guests. A lot of backers over the first couple of days, so I'm not going to thank everybody just yet. We'll do that over the course of this month. But the next 20 backers who made an awesome day one include Akil Wilson. Thank you, Akil. Eric Beebe, Dunder Dagger from Sweden. Always awesome to get people from outside of the U.S. Sid Sondergaard, Lucas Sheffield, also from Australia. Matt Schofield, John Auerbach, Daniel Gorman, Tad Lawrence, Cassidy McKinnon, representing Canada. What's up, Cassidy? Thank you so much for your support and friendship. Sasha M. Dorp from Germany. So we've got another country represented. The Tally Squad, Shane W. Smith, also from Down Under. Raph Neves, Emerald Angel Comics, Tim Radecki, Nareko Art from the UK, Eric Warfield, also from Germany, KJ Murphy, and Brian Tillman. Thank you for all these backers that came out there on day one. Appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you do and use the planner to help you make. All right. Your tip of the day for today is to know your why and communicate it clearly during your launch. People do not just back why, what it is that you're making, they back why you're making it. And therefore, the clearer and more compelling your why, the more likely people are to care about your project, share your project, support your project, and back your project. And so I wanted to just encourage all of you to think about your why when you are putting together your campaigns at the very beginning and all throughout. Because as logical as we all like to think we are, emotions tend to drive humans' actions more so than logic. Logic makes us think, emotions make us act. And when you have a why, you know your why, and you communicate that why, it gives you, the ability to communicate not just your passion, but the purpose behind the story that you're telling. Connection in a lot of ways can be as valuable or just as valuable as the product that you're creating. And Kickstarter has a lot of great projects, but ones that have true connection, and you can just sort of like feel how connected the creator is to those projects. Those ones definitely stand out. Simon Sinek, famous TED talk and book on the subject, said people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And he sort of, through a series of illustrations and research, shows that like when you can communicate your mission and the things that drive you, you tend to attract those who believe what you believe and are moved by what moves you. And so some ways to uncover your why, and some questions to ask yourself is like, why this project? Of all the things that you could be working on, why this project? Why this project right now? Is there a personal experience or passion that fuels the creation of this project? And what's the change in the world that you hope your project might bring about? And it doesn't have to be some super lofty thing. It could be as simple as, hey, I want to give people in these harried times that are stuck, doom scrolling, I want to give them literally 5 minutes of laughter, excitement, joy, etc. And some examples, or just like one great example of a creator that is really great at, or did a great job doing this, is Joe Schmalke. Some of y'all might know Joe. He has a book called 7 Years in Darkness. And this is one of those books where, when I heard it immediately, my logic brain went off and I'm like, okay, 7 Years in Darkness. Okay, that sounds like that's a really cool title. Tell me more. And then he explains the high concept pitch. It's sort of like, it's like a Hogwarts, but for dark wizards. So I'm like, okay, that I can see that. And it also logically made sense to me when, because I know Joe and he's known for horror stuff. So it all, like, on a logical sense, made sense that this was a project. And he explained a little bit of the unique hook of the book. But what really got me is that he said it. He told me, he's like, hey, this is the main thing I'm working on for the next 7 years. I'm going to do 4 issues each year. Each year will be each year will be one volume, and each year will be one year of the children in this school going through a 7-year dark wizard program. And it's going to correspond with my daughter, who I believe just entered middle school. And it's going to be basically the main character is going to be, in his book, is kind of going to be following emotionally what it is that his daughter is going through. And he's sort of doing this as a way to channel what he's feeling about being a father, working with or having a kid at that age, and that, above all of the other great stuff, really connected to me as a father as well, and realizing how fast things fly by. And now that I know that, along with the fact that it's a great hook, great premise, strong writing and art, like, that's something I'm going to remember and I'm going to connect with, and I'm going to back for the foreseeable future. So great example of that. The Comics Launch Planner will help you uncover your why during your crowdfunding launch, with tools including the same comic book product sell sheet that I use with Comics Launch Pros during when I do whenever I'm launching a new series. There's some questions and things that I want to uncover, and there's some prompts and questions in there around your why that will help you not just uncover it, but also communicate it. And then also then when it comes time to building out your Kickstarter page, we want to make sure that it gets in there. And so there's a page design checklist and a video script writing checklist that also call out how and where you want to share your why during the campaign. Because your super fans are going to be the ones who connect with what you make and why you're driven to make it. All right. And so this is just something that I want you all to keep in mind and make sure that you're communicating this all throughout your campaign. All right, I'm about to bring on my awesome guests who have been patiently hanging out with me in a second, but I did want to put one final invite for anybody tuning in who may happen to have a Kickstarter this month. If you want to join me during this month of May for one of these daily live streams, just go to comixlaunch.com/invite, and you can secure a time to come in and chat about your projects. So without further ado, let's bring on the handsome guests that I have in the back here, and we're going to chat about these projects. Welcome, everybody. Justin, Eric, Carl.
Thank you.
Hey, what I want to do is let everyone share a bit about the project that you are currently have out on Kickstarter, and give you a chance to also, if you're so moved, share a little bit about like why this project, why right now, and how to connect with it. So I guess I'd love to start by bringing on Carl, and just have Carl share a little bit about this awesome project that you have going on right now, Death Transit Magpie.
Hey, Tyler. Hi, everybody. Yeah, no pressure. I launched this project that it's called Death Transit Magpie, which is the third installment of a comic book series I've been doing for the last really only a year. I kickstarted issues 1 and 2, I think last year and maybe late the previous year. It's a science fiction comic about a young woman who has an accident and ends up being able to speak to and see dead people, and her job ends up being to kind of ferry lost souls into the afterlife, and in doing so, she has to basically find these bodies, solve murder mysteries, and confront some kind of monster or alien inevitably, and then help these souls on to some sort of hopefully happy afterlife. So I did the first 2 issues, and I did the first issue kind of on a whim with no plans to kickstart it or even print it. And I fell in love with the idea so much. It was during the pandemic that I decided to put it out there and see if anyone liked it. And the response was so good that I just continued it, because a concept like that spawns so many stories kind of immediately. And I couldn't get them down fast enough. So I've got a lot of issues planned, and I wanted to do this as a series. Like, my first Kickstarter was for a print edition of my webcomic, The Abominable Charles Christopher. But this is the first time I'm doing anything serialized on Kickstarter, and I wanted to, I decided last year to pretty much say no to everything that I was doing in the work for hire space. So, typically my career has been doing comics for Marvel and DC. I have an Image comic. I've done a bunch, like Superman and Batman. I co-created Gotham Academy at DC. I had a comic called Isola, which is a fantasy adventure comic through Image. And the direct market for comic books is fractured. I mean, to say the least. It is between distribution and kind of a dwindling audience, and just the way people purchase things. I found so much more viability in crowdfunding for making my own books that I thought it was just worth pursuing this on an issue-to-issue basis. I could do this at Image. I mean, there's no reason I couldn't. Yeah. I've had offers from publishers to do this, and there's no reason I couldn't do this through a publisher, but I struggle to see any advantage other than potentially, I guess it's good advertising. I mean, having your comic out in a store is basically, it wouldn't be paying my bills, but it would be, hopefully casting a bit of a wider net. And perhaps somewhere down the road, I'll do a larger collection through a publisher just to get it into bookstores. But right now I'm like laser focused in a way that I haven't been in the past. And the cool thing about it is that I feel hungry again. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I don't know where my next, I don't have another paycheck coming. Like I do like the odd variant cover for publishers here and there, but like I'm just all in on this. So I'm if these Kickstarters don't work, then I guess I've got options, but this is where I want to be, and this is this is where I'm happiest. So
yeah,
so far so good. It's going well.
I'm curious, like, did you go and do like the calculations of like, okay, well, I could do Kickstarter and here's the result that I think I could have. And if I went through a publisher like an Image, I would need to sell like X number of copies to match the Kickstarter. And
I didn't have to. You know, like I had enough experience from my Image book. So Image Comics, if for anyone who doesn't know, is pretty much the best deal you can get in like mainstream comic book industry, in that you can take your creator-owned comic there, provided they greenlight it, and you're basically self-publishing, but they do help you a bit on the back end in terms of some production, and they get you into the distribution catalog, and you pay them a nominal fee per issue, but you own everything. I mean, you own everything outright. So it's a great deal, but I can just tell you, like the series I did through Image, while I love it, and I also love Image Comics, having been a fan of Image since they started. Like I couldn't live on that. Like we basically made enough money issue to issue to pay our colorist and our letterer, with a little bit left over for myself and my co-writer, and that was just not a sustainable model. You know, it makes more sense to do it here, where I can actually, I'm working for free on these issues because I like to have an issue completed before I kickstarted. I'm working for nothing for 3 to 4 months, but when I do crowdfund it, I actually make, you know, better than what my page rate would be at any of the publishers. So it all pans out in that aspect. What I'm curious to see, and I'm like, I'm here, I'm thrilled to be talking to you guys, because I'm like eager to just get into the weeds on this stuff. Like, one of the, you know, some sort of common sentiment or evidence about Kickstarter campaigns is that serialized books will kind of snowball into a larger audience over time, as opposed to in the direct market, where you're dealing with like a serious attrition from issue to issue. Like you'll start with a strong issue 1 and kind of pretty rapidly plummet to like a plateau where you're maybe just getting by. I haven't seen the inverse of that exactly here, but I have seen like slowly diminishing returns, very slowly. And I don't know if that's just the market, if it's the economy, the environment currently, or if it's just like the book finding an audience, you know, like just in comparison from issue to issue, like it's around the same number of backers from issue to issue, but like it it loses a little bit of traction as we go on. So I'm really interested to see where that goes. It's still far and away like the best thing I could be doing. But but I'm curious to see how the trend goes.
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting topic that we can explore a little bit, and we've got some folks that are worth exploring it with. I'm going to bring in Clay Adams now to who is also serializing, and so this is a good thing. But the book that you have going right now, Clay, is the latest from the Blazing Blade of Frankenstein series. What can you tell us about this book? And
it's we cast Frankenstein's monster as a Conan-style barbarian. I like to pitch it as sword and sorcery meets gothic horror. It's basically Frankenstein fighting the universal monsters for the fate of a savage land. So he's got a new adversary every issue. This one is Frankenstein versus the Mummy. And it's funny thinking about my why. Like, I haven't really thought about that since the first issue, because we're kind of up and rolling. But for me, Frankenstein is just one of my all-time favorite novels. I mean, you read it today and it feels like it was written just yesterday. You know, it's so fresh and says a lot about life that's still applicable. For me, I just kind of started thinking at the same time I was reading a lot of Conan the Barbarian. I was a really big fan of Mike Grell's Warlord back in the day. That was a huge influence. for this book. And so like, I just started thinking, well, what if instead of going off to commit suicide in the Arctic, he stumbles through a portal to another dimension. I kind of discovered another book called The Blazing World, which is also about a portal to another dimension in the Arctic. And I thought, okay, well, let's have Frankenstein, go through that portal and meet that world. And so like, for me as a writer, being very lazy, that helped me not have to like create any worlds or anything like that. I was just sort of able to take what existed and create something new from that. And that was a fun challenge because I had always done before this more like horror comedy. And so the idea that I was going to take something, some horror and some fantasy elements and treat them more seriously felt like an interesting challenge to me.
Yeah. And I think it's definitely something that there's multiple ways that can connect to an audience. What do you have any thoughts about, as someone that has now multiple series and series that you've been serializing in different formats? You've tried things like bigger than normal launches, issue launches, single issue launches, and have been crowdfunding relatively frequently. Any thoughts based on Carl's question about serializing and the difference in sort of whether there's attrition, there's building?
Yeah. Well, one of the things, excuse me, one of the things I've been doing this campaign that I've never done before is first thing I do every day is I go to KickTrack. And not to look at like the projections, like don't do that because, you'll just have a wildly skewed idea of what it is you're actually going to make. And then you're going to get depressed as you see that number go down every day. So I ignore that. But what I do is I compare how the campaign is doing with previous campaigns. And so I've started just in the notes app, just typing that in every day. And where that has been extremely helpful to me is that like, it's very easy in a Kickstarter campaign to get to a point, especially these days when the dead zone seems to come a lot earlier than it used to. It's very easy in a campaign to start feeling like, oh my God, this campaign is doing horribly. Like, what all my other campaigns did great. Why is this one just doing so awful? And where the KickTrack thing has been helpful is that I can see exactly where I was on every single campaign on that exact day. And so for instance, in terms of the attrition, so like our first issue, it did sort of feel like the direct market in the sense where it's like, we got some pretty big numbers. And I was also coming off some pretty big campaigns. Now this was like 4 years ago, completely different Kickstarter environment. People had, government stimulus money to spend. They were home during COVID. Kickstarter was really booming and there were fewer projects going on, but I was coming off some bigger projects. We got some big numbers on that first issue. We had a little bit of a drop with the second issue, a little bit of a drop of the third issue. But what I'm able to see on KickTrack is that, so like, yeah, we're a little bit behind on this book where we were on issue 1, but we're tracking right along with issue 2, right along with issue 3 in terms of backers, in terms of money raised. And so like that was sort of able to calm my nerves a little bit, just saying like, oh, no, this is like going exactly as planned. And, beyond that, what I think is beneficial about, say, Kickstarter versus the direct market, right? Let's say your numbers go down in the direct market. Well, those numbers that are going down, those people are only buying a $4 comic or a $5 comic, right? Whereas if your numbers are say trending slightly down on Kickstarter, those 330 people that have backed my project, they're not buying a $5 book. They're buying, a $12 book, but they're also maybe getting the $40 catch-up tier. They're also maybe getting the metal cover. They're also maybe getting original art, So, Tyler, I was very interested to hear you say like what your philosophy is about what you want your average pledge level to be, because, I had never thought of it like that. I just knew like, okay, this feels good. We're like right at I think $29, which is a little more than twice what the regular physical level is. But I can also compare that, like looking at issue 2, where I go, okay, issue 2, we had more backers, but the average pledge level was only $22. And, perhaps that's because there are fewer issues to catch up on, right? You're coming into issue 2, you're only going to get issue 1 as part of a catch-up tier, but with issue 3 and issue 4, you're spending more and more money. So I am seeing that average pledge level creep up as the issues go on. So unlike the direct market, you can sustain a series even if there is, the slight attrition that might happen from issue to issue.
Yeah, I think there's a lot there, and it feels like Kickstarter definitely gives you more ways to win and more ways to pivot than the direct market. Because like if you're releasing a series, and Carl's probably seen this, like when those issue 2 numbers come in, and if they're gutting, well, guess what? Issue 3 has already been solicited. So there's not much you can do about it. So there's not a lot of room to pivot, or there's not multiple ways to win. If a campaign is going and it's clear by day 15 that we are not going to hit our backer count, well, sometimes as simple as rolling out like an extra variant, or getting a guest cover, or even just a tweak, like, hey, all right, we're doing metals on a metal version, we're going to do 10 of these. Well, if you sell 8 of them, all of a sudden you might make up for whatever the a 5 or 10% drop in backers might be, and you have options to pivot. I want to bring on our other 2 guests here that are making their ComixLaunch debut, and so I'd love to have Erica, please introduce yourself, and then we'll bring on Justin as well, and then we'll talk about your projects. But yeah, Eric, kick us off.
Yeah, so we just started the comic, The Ballad of Dust and Blood, and it was kind of Justin came to me with an idea. He's like, hey, let's do a Western comic book, and we've never done it before. And so we started building out a little town called Promised Valley, and all the complicated Western characters, we could find, and it's a lot of fun. It's just a straight up Western story, and yeah, it's good.
Yeah, and Justin, you want to build on anything there?
Yeah, so I mainly illustrate full time, but I do a lot of children's books. So that's like my bread and butter, and I don't make them. People just pay me to do it. And so I think I just finished my 85th one, and I love it. It's super fun, but it's usually not the art that I want to do, and it's never anything that I created. So I have wanted to do a comic book for a really long time. I love comic books. I've had a couple ideas in a few years past, and I've taken them to Eric, like, hey, I have this idea, but they never really stuck. And then around December, I was like, hey, I have an idea for a book I want to do. I just don't write. I hate writing. It's not my thing at all. I was like, would you write it? And so Eric created right now it's a 13-issue story arc, and this is issue 1, and it's I was thinking of the why when you were saying that, because I don't know if I've ever processed that before, but for me the biggest thing, and I don't know if this is a real answer, but it's fun. It's so much fun. I love drawing. I love doing things that I want to do, and I love Westerns, and so I was like, I think this will be just fun to do. And so our first issue is pretty long. It's 42 pages. But it's been, I thought of Kickstarter. I was like, well, this is a way to do it. And then I immediately found this podcast. I was like, all right, let me just start taking notes. And we launched this past Saturday. So I shot for a cool date. So we picked Free Comic Book Day, and we went to like a local shop and set up a big thing, and mass texted all my friends and family. We were hoping for like 50%, or I think I got from your podcast like 35% or something the first day, but we funded in the day, which was awesome. And then we put in a couple of like ideas and like things to kind of get through the slump. One of them that's real weird in here you'll see is I'm really good friends with an actor named Greg Sestero. He was in The Room and wrote like The Disaster Artist, and so I did a cover with him on it. And so I'm going to get him to put it on his social media in about a week to kind of like boost up some things.
Nice.
We kind of have made some appearances here and there. And yeah, right now, like I think the original goal was, hey, I'll get a little bit of money out of it for my time, and I'll pay Eric some, and we'll print this and get it to people. And one of our bigger goals was the Cincinnati Comic Cons in September. Hey, let's get enough money where we can get a booth and do something really cool, and maybe we'll launch issue 2 at the Comic-Con. But now that we were doing so well, I'm like, well, maybe we just won't pay ourselves anything, and we'll just keep using this money to get more comics and put them out there, because it's been really an exciting like 5 days of doing this. And so one of the things I was really interested in is I listened to it yesterday, is your episode with a woman who was like, I don't want to like bother my friends by doing a second release and hitting them up for money all the time. And that was really good, because I really had that concern. I was like, okay, a lot of this was our friends and family, which is really cool.
Right.
I met with a woman on Friday before we launched, and she's done several successful Kickstarters, and she was like adamantly like, hey, your goal's too high. You won't do it. You should take it down. And I was like, but this is kind of what we need, so I'm going to go with it. And I was right. It's just been like, so that's my next concern is, okay, we're going to do this again and again and again.
Right.
How do we pick up new? I've been trying to do all the things like follow other people's projects. I know there's a large Kickstarter community, and the Facebook groups are kind of like people just scamming for weird jobs, but so I'm trying to figure out how to get part of that and do it more and more, because I have fallen in love with it. I think it has been a really fun journey in 5 days. Eric, do you have more to add?
Yeah, so I mean, it's so interesting that we've got the cross section of experiences here, and it's you've definitely built a track record, Justin, in one particular area of arts, similar to Carl, like doing the mainstream thing. But there is just something to feel like that is powerful about feeling like, hey, I can do my own thing. I can create my own thing. I can, if I want it to be 42 pages, the staples will hold it. Let's do that. And then, but then also, you don't know what's possible to you until you actually take that leap, hit that green launch button, and throw caution to the wind and see what happens. Folks like Clay, myself, Carl, we have the advantage of a past track record of launches, such that the more you do this, the better your estimation abilities are. And Kickstarter is a platform that is, compared to a lot of things, it's pretty sticky in terms of the ability to get backers to come back, the ability to have certain expectations about what the next launch is going to do based on what the previous launch is going to do. But one of the things that was fun to have you guys on here is that, hey, you had none of that, and but it still shows that this is a platform that people haven't missed the boat yet on. Kickstarter is still good waters to be swimming in, even if it's your very first launch. So thanks for sharing that.
My last ditch effort was going to be like, should we just do a cover with boobs on it? Because that seems to go really well.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I guess something that I would open up to you guys is if there's any questions or particular things that you want to get feedback on from Carl and Clay, just in terms of like where where your next moves are.
Yeah.
But let me know if there's anything in particular, and we can roll from there.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Eric. You guys.
I was going to say, I think one of the things that caught us kind of unaware, because we were expecting not to hit the goal the first day, was just how do you maintain momentum throughout a campaign once we've got stretch goals and that kind of thing, but how do you continue to keep people engaged in what's going on and that sort of stuff? I think that was the big question that came to my mind first.
Well, the first thing I'd recommend is a crowdfunding launch planner.
Yeah, somebody should make one of those.
No, I play with different things with every campaign. I've done because this is my fourth or fifth one. I can't remember, but I've only kind of just hit the point where I'm not panicking. You know what I mean? Like, it took 3 campaigns to be able to do this without freaking out every day. Yeah. And just feeling like you're failing, like you're forgetting to do something, you're failing to reach a wider audience. And now I'm sort of in a place where I'm like, okay, well, these are the stats. This is how it compares to everything. Like, this is my audience. Like, clearly, like, this here is the audience, and it's pretty solid. So now my job is really just outreach. Like how do I expand this? So I do different things. Like, I like to do live drawing stuff. Like, if you're working on sketches, I drop like add-ons of original art. Like, usually once a week, I'll do like 3 new pieces of art and put those up. It gives you something to talk about in an update. You can put it all over social media. You can record a video of yourself doing it. It's fun for people to watch. Usually, like, people will watch and make suggestions. Then maybe they'll buy the piece, like, as soon as it goes up. That kind of stuff. And add-ons have just been a huge part of this, Tyler. I mean, like, so those add-ons are a relatively new thing. They're not new, but like new enough that, like,
people were always doing them, but it was always hacky and
that's
had
like,
to do
I've already pledged. Oh, and now there's a new add-on. I can add that on. Is that helpful?
Yeah, because what I find is that, like, your audience, your core audience that keeps coming back, and this never occurred to me before until people would post comments or ask, like, they've just run out of stuff to buy. Like, they'll buy basically whatever you put up there that's remotely relevant. Yeah. So, like, it's, while add-ons are kind of a bear to organize and fulfill, unless you have like a good spreadsheet or backer kit system, like, they're hugely helpful in terms of having something to talk about and just having stuff for people to get excited about and just kind of bolster your bottom line, so those are big ones for me. I don't know.
Yeah, add-ons were a huge game changer for me. Like, I started raising a lot more once you could, put that stuff on there. And, like, for you guys, is this your first campaign? Is that what you said? Or yeah. Okay. So I would say, like, definitely launch that next campaign, and then that next campaign, and then that next campaign. Because so I was talking to George O'Connor last month for the Comics Launch Spotlight, and one thing he said that I thought was really interesting is he called it compounding interest. And it really is, because the more books you have, the more campaigns you've run, the more things you have to offer to sell. And so, like Carl said, your fan base, a nice chunk of them will say, I want to get more of that stuff. I want to get more stuff from this creator. So definitely having those add-ons, definitely have those other campaigns, because, as one of the things I try to do now, like, I'm a big believer that you only have so much bandwidth, and you have to run the campaign that you have the bandwidth for. Yeah. And there are younger guys out there who, aren't married, don't have kids, don't have other things that they're concerned about, who can just go 24/7. I can't do that. So what I try to tell myself is I'm going to run the campaign that I have the bandwidth for. And for me, the best way to think about that is, like, what's the one thing I can do every day help drive traffic to this campaign or to help out this campaign somehow. So maybe that's, I update this older campaign on this day, and then I go to a different campaign on the next day. But it's just try to focus on that one thing. But having those previous campaigns that you can go back to, especially if it's a similar creative team, especially if it's a similar genre, you can kind of put that in front of them. A lot of people will come out on day one. A lot of people will come out on day two, but some people do just need that reminder. And I have people that have backed me for every single campaign, but they might not come in until day 15, or they might not come in until day 27. And it's because you sent out that email. One thing I've started to do is message prior campaigns. Just send a message to the people that backed Frankenstein 3 or backed Frankenstein 2 or Frankenstein 1. And sometimes I've seen creators say, like, I hate to bother people. I hate to send out that email. I don't want to bother them. And you do kind of feel that way because, I know I don't love for my inbox to get inundated with stuff. But at the same time, so for instance, a couple weeks ago, it was the middle of the dead zone. We had slowed down. We were getting maybe like $100 a day. And when you go from a few thousand, in the beginning of the campaign to suddenly, $100, that's a trickle.
Which is always, it's funny because unless you're doing a comic book convention, and even sometimes if you are doing a comic book convention, a lot of times you're not making $100 a day in comic books.
yeah, for sure. But relatively,
to, it's like, oh,
that feels bad.
No one loves me anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. So I sent out a message to, an older campaign, and immediately I got a piece of hate mail. Somebody who was not happy that I had messaged them, wanted to let me know what they felt about it. And I felt bad for about 5 minutes. And then I got like $600 worth of pledges coming in. And I thought, I'll take that one piece of hate mail in exchange for the funding. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. And also I would say, like, on your very first launch, this is the time to be perfectly fine with reaching out to everybody in your world who knows, likes, and trusts you, but is, whether they be friends, fans of comics or not. The analogy I always bring up is, like, if you were opening a coffee shop, or you were a car mechanic and you had a new auto body shop or a candle store or literally anything, you wouldn't just limit your the people that you know about it to the people that are diehard candle fans or whose car broke down. You would literally put a business card and let your entire world know, so that they can let they're tuned to it, and they will let other people that they know are into this stuff and point you towards you. And so Shane W. Smith is somebody that has done lots of Kickstarter campaigns over the years, and he said his first campaign was 80-20 family friends, but by his 10th campaign or fourth or fifth campaign, I think it had flipped. It was still getting about 20% of my backers are people that I'm friends with, but 80% of them are people that have discovered me through launching and then launching again and delivering on my rewards and getting my stuff out there. And those are like the sort of true fans. But I can't stop my mom from backing my Kickstarter projects or making comments like, "Hey Tyler, have you thought about putting out your comics in much bigger print?" as her eyeglasses need a new subscription.
Yeah, that was a question I had about, like, how did you transition from friends and family? Because I would say probably 70% of who's backed ours so far are people who love us, don't necessarily love comic books. So I really want to figure out, like, how do you get into that crowd? Because I love comic books, but I don't typically think, like, I usually don't want more kitsch. Like, I don't want an extra drawing, but I would like a sheriff's badge. That sounds cool. Like, I like things like that. So I was trying to figure out how do you go from, okay, these people love me and they might do it, they might not. to, oh man, these people love comic books and they particularly like ours. Like, how do you get the comic audience? If you guys have any advice on that, I'll take it.
My advice is that like the Kickstarter platform takes care of a lot of that, because somebody backs your campaign and then everybody that follows that person gets an email blast that says, you know, so and so just backed this campaign, and then you know, it just does, like Justin, I think you were saying before we went on the air, right? That like my project was recommended to you like every time you went on the platform. Like Kickstarter will do that, right? I think what happens is there's a cross-pollination as like I back Carl's book and I back Eric's and your book. And so like once that happens, when your campaign comes up, right? Like all of our books come up as recommended, you know, if you've got a lot of crossover in that audience. And so Kickstarter itself is putting you out there. So for me, the thing I always preach is the importance of the project image, that's your comic book cover. And that's what's going to get somebody to click. Kickstarter will put it out in front of people, but you've got to have a project image that's good, that's great enough that somebody's going to go, I got to check this campaign out. And then it's your page's job to convert.
Yeah. And another thing that I will also just, you know, since you guys are here and we're supporting one another, I'm just to give you guys a little pro tip. The page looks great, but you made the decision to put all of your copy in as images. And one, that's a little hard to read. And two, for someone like me or a fellow comic book creator who, let's say they want to shout out your project. Well, they have to go and either translate or copy. They can't just cut and paste some of your best lines here. And as a podcaster, I'm always looking for ways to make my life easier. And so I would encourage you, rather than baking all of the text into these images, even though, you know, you're an illustrator, you're used to you're doing that, and you know, it's fine. But also remember, like, this is going to be read on or a lot of people are reading these on phones. Like, you know, more than half of the Kickstarter traffic is on phones. Eye strain is a thing. And then also just like, you know, what Clay might during a launch might shout out, you know, a dozen or two dozen projects, but he doesn't want to, like, if he has a choice between the project that it's very easy to grab a synopsis or the project that I have to go and do my own translation, I'm going to probably gravitate towards the one that, you know, saves me a little bit of time, because he's got kids, he's got all these other things and only limited amount of time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's the thing I didn't consider as much until this was the fact that a lot of this traffic is on a phone, and I made a really conscious effort this time to make my graphics way bigger, to have hookier stuff at the beginning, and to keep in mind that like everything relevant, like what this thing is and why it's cool and the best looking thing about it should be in like your first 2 to 3 thumb swipes. After that, it's gravy, right?
Carl, I noticed yours when I went to it. You can side swipe through each tier. I don't even know how you did that. It's on my phone. It works out really well.
But that's a Kickstarter thing. It might just be because I put graphics in there. Like, I don't know how that works. Can you side swipe through rewards? Is that how?
Yeah,
I haven't even looked at it really closely.
I went to back this project, and then I could side swipe instead of scrolling down. And it was a cool to next image.
Oh, well, that wasn't me.
It was really user friendly.
Was that on the Kickstarter app, Justin?
It was on the app, yes.
Yeah.
On the app.
I mean, it's one of the things that's cool is Kickstarter's advanced analytics now. So they show you some interesting stuff. And I, you know, when I would use Google Analytics, I would see, 80% of my traffic tends to be coming from mobile, but I would always be surprised that, like, even that, if that's the case, like a good chunk still comes from desktop. But you see right now, more people are actually backing from mobile than desktop when you take all things into consideration. So yeah, just, you know, considering all of the ways that people are going to be looking at your project and trying to make sure that you're not doing anything that would turn off any backer, I guess, is always the challenge.
Would
I'm
you recommend
curious.
changing that now? Like,
What's that?
go ahead. Would you recommend changing that now?
I would. There's probably nothing. It definitely is not going to hurt your campaign to plug in a few changes and add that information. I don't want to make like I would say like obviously it's already a page that is converting and turning some new people in, but there's nothing wrong with making changes throughout the campaign. I think most creators do that. Carl, I'm curious as someone that has now been through this ringer a few times. What are some things that you've learned since your first launch that maybe Justin and Eric haven't even thought about yet that you might want to flag for them?
The big things are that pre-launch is almost everything. Like getting the word out. I did a pre-launch page like 3 to 4 weeks out from launching this thing, and I actually delayed the launch just to get more backers on there clicking the notify me button. I think there were like 700 or so people following this thing before I launched it, so that you have like a really strong launch day, like that for your first hour or so of your launch is that first day is super affected by how many people are already following it ahead of time. What are other big things I've learned? Really, like I just had firsthand experience now in how powerful Kickstarter is as a platform in pushing this stuff. If you look at any of the statistics, I mean, I've got a mailing list. I've got my mailing list isn't huge, but it's like, like I think there's like 3,000 to 5,000 people that I'm reaching out to. I'm doing it through BackerKit Launch. I'm doing it through my own mailing list, but nothing compares to Kickstarter's internal recommendation system. Like it's far and away the most beneficial thing you're going to have in your campaign. And the funny part about that is, like, ostensibly, I think the number one source of traffic from Kickstarter is it reaches out to people who have backed your project before, like a creator you've backed before. Here's a new project from a creator you've backed before. Now, ostensibly, those are the same people I just contacted through BackerKit, right? But the Kickstarter system takes precedent over that for whatever reason. Like a lot of
Kickstarter also has, if they have the app, they might get a notification on the app that's on their phone. It might show up like when they log into Kickstarter. So all of that in addition to an email. You're absolutely right. Like it is. I think some creators, I know early on I was like, oh, all right, well, I'm going to do this to reach these people and this to reach these specific people and this to reach these specific people. When in reality, people that are fans of you might be following you 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ways, which some creators take as, oh, okay, well, then I have to limit the amount of communication that I'm going to do because they might reach it. When in reality, it's like, no, someone might be connected to you in 5 different ways. And if you send to all 5, they might see you once or twice. Because of the volume of other people out in the world that are trying to compete for attention.
The other thing I've learned is that because you basically have your kind of audience that you're reaching directly through email and all this stuff, and so all the outreach I tend to do, because I don't have a publicist or anything, if you did, that's great, but like my outreach is all basically through. Sometimes I'll be at a convention or in person, but largely through social media. And what I've learned is that social media is largely worthless. It's just like in terms of actual statistics. And if you haven't been doing this, you should create custom links inside your Kickstarter dashboard so you can track where your traffic is coming from.
I did create them, but then on the day I was like really excited and I forgot to use the different ones.
Yeah, so do it next time, because, or even now, you can still do it. Because what I've seen is that like Instagram, Twitter, generally worthless. Blue Sky is actually a bit better, considering like the return on like Blue Sky conversion, pretty good considering like it's new and I have a fraction of the followers on there that I have anywhere else. Like it's still a way better turnaround than any of the other platforms. Keep in mind, I'm paid for any ads. Like if you're gonna use social media like Facebook and stuff, I guess pay for ads, because otherwise it's almost not worth doing.
In my other art world, I found that Facebook can generate some sales and Instagram only generates likes and never sales. It's been my experience. Hey, I have a question about who you guys are printing through. Are you allowed to talk about that? Like who you print your comics with? Or do you have to
am I the only Canadian here? I'm in Canada. So like we have a bunch of giant printers here in Quebec, and a lot of them used to print, well, maybe still print all of the mainstream books. So there's one nearby. It's called Transcontinental Printing, and I use them for basically everything. I've priced out several different ones. I've even talked to, I even reached out to the Comic Experience, Tyler, the guys that you talked to. Are they in Austin or something? I can't remember where they are. You're muted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah. The Comics Experience folks, they partner with a printer in Korea.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I don't want printing in here locally in Canada, and I benefit from that greatly now because I'm not paying any tariffs on anything that I get made here. So
I do want to just share something. I don't know if you've seen any issues, Carl, but for all my Canucks out there that are listening to the podcast, and yourself as well, this post came through the ComixLaunch Pro community. You were talking about communities, Justin, about that are good on Facebook. Well, I built one so that it wouldn't just be people like spamming to look for work that might be trying to scam you. But Craig Tallifer is a Canadian, and he said, and this is not cool. He said, just had a whole stack of Kickstarter reward shipments rejected at the border and sent back to the warehouse in Montreal. The shipping company I use only had a drop and go location in Ottawa. I had to drive to Montreal to retrieve them. Basically, the new rules for shipping to the States is that there has to be a made in Canada sticker on the outside and on every item inside the package, meaning they are opening everything and looking for Chinese contraband. Shipping collectibles like comics where people expect them in pristine condition, this is less than ideal. And so he's got just talking about how he has a bunch of packages, and this may impact his interest and ability to ship to the States, especially if there's a lot of damages in the shipments. But the big sort of, I guess, initial thing for our Canadian folks is something that you can actually do to battle against this insanity that's going on right now in our country. Apologies, everybody, but invest in some made in Canada stickers. If you're printing in Canada and shipping to the United States, better safe than sorry. But again, started, hopefully this is not the current way that things are going forward. But I just want to share that, Carl, because you were on here.
Yeah, I hadn't seen evidence of that until now. I had actually already been thinking about making some made in Canada stickers. Technically, I think if you print a book, you're supposed to print on it somewhere where it's been printed. Usually it's inside though. So I may just print that on the, I mean, there's no nice way to do it. I don't want to put it on the front cover, but you never know what someone at Customs is going to do. I'm also sourcing local people for making embroidered patches and things, because those I've been buying those through an American company who sourced them from China. So I don't even know how that works. Like I think it gets taxed every time it crosses any border. So I'm just trying to avoid all that now.
If you bag and board the comics, can you put the sticker somewhere on the bag so it's like unobtrusive?
Yeah, or get a stamper and stamp the back of the board.
Yeah, probably my move will be putting a little made in Canada sticker on the front of every bag, and hope that works. Well, I haven't run into any problems yet, but I fulfilled my last one before any of this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing just that I know, the news was that as of May 1st, the de minimis exemption has gone away. It used to be, Carl, that if you're shipping something to the United States and it was marked under $800 in value, there was no tariff on it whatsoever.
And there was also an exemption for printed products too, I thought, but also who knows?
I think that might still be it
this afternoon.
but they may also be going, searching for contraband, right? To whack. Who knows? All I know is
there was a treaty that outlined this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There have been
someone didn't bother.
There have been 12 new executive orders since we started this live stream, and they all contradict each other. So
And this could be. Isn't there a conversation going on right now between your prime minister and our guy?
Yeah.
He just came back from a meeting with.
Throughout the tariffs on movies potentially coming from overseas. So Clay's a voice actor, but he will probably get tariffed if he uses any foreign accents. Just you got to speak American.
That's right. That's right.
Oh man.
Do you guys have any advice on doing? We're going to do a con, and I have some things I want to do, but I don't even know how many issues you should take, and especially us who are a little small time too. I don't know how to prepare for that in September either.
Boy, that's tough in terms of doing a first convention. I mean, I would just say take as much as you can that you can comfortably travel with, because the dream is to sell out, but the nightmare is you bring all this stuff and then you have to take it all back home. Yeah. But really, it's one of those things that doing it for a little bit, you'll sort of figure it out. I would maybe sort of think about the price points that you're going to have on the table, and then think about how many of each of these do I need to sell in order to make my money back, and possibly base it off of that.
What do you guys sell your independent comics for at the conventions?
Well, it depends. I try to have a wide range of price points, right? So I might have hardcovers that are pricey, maybe $60 or something, and then maybe a thick trade paperback. I've got the Nightmare Theater horror anthologies. One of those is almost 300 pages. So that might go for $40. We might have some for $20. The individual floppies, what I'll usually do is maybe 10 a piece, because it's a little, the pricing for conventions might be a little bit different than Kickstarter, right? Because Kickstarter, somebody's paying a premium for the ease of just clicking a button from anywhere in the world, right? And then having it shipped to them. Plus they're getting other stuff, they're getting bonuses, they're getting the digital editions and all of this stuff. Whereas somebody coming to a convention, they've paid money to get into the convention hall already. They've already paid a premium. They've had to fight the crowds to find you at your table. And they're not getting anything digital. They're not really getting any bonuses. So it's usually a little bit different, but so I'll do maybe $10 a piece, but then if there's some kind of bundle deal you can work out, perhaps if you're selling a whole series of something, it's it's usually $10 a piece, but if you buy the whole set, it might be you get one free or something like that. It's some kind of deal that might encourage people to buy a set as opposed to just a single issue.
Yeah, $10 is what I was thinking. That's what I normally pay when I buy people's books.
Yeah, but I encourage you, as Clay was saying, take what you're doing on Kickstarter and try to apply the same logic where you understand that there are going to be different kinds of people coming through. Some people are going to be able to, might barely be able to spend a few dollars, whereas others might buy everything that you have and then some. And so, back when I was in my early convention days and I just had one book, well, I would often have a whole table here to fill up. So I was having, copious amounts of the book, maybe a couple of variant covers, maybe pricing the variant covers so that there was some price differentiation as well. But then I also might have had, I might be selling original art or prints, having some well done prints. Sometimes something that helps if you want to level things up a notch, and also potentially give yourself another selling point is you might make up a small batch of prints, but brand them for the convention itself. So hey, these are convention exclusives prints, and that might and then people at conventions. Conventions are kind of like swap meets where people can't if you give people a choice and the choice involves a deal, they'll walk right into it. Like I was at a convention. I'm at the point where most of what I bring to conventions are trades now, not single issues. But I was like, well, the soft or the trade collections are just $25, but we got a 2 for $40 deal right now. Oh, 2 for $40. Well, I have to do that. And all of a sudden, it's doing well, but we take $5 off a print if you add a print. Like doing things like that can really go a long way to just encourage people to spend a little bit more with you. And when they spend a little bit more with you, it makes the whole thing more fun, more worthwhile.
Yeah.
I went to I went to Heroes Comic-Con last June, and it happened to be during the campaign for Death Transit issue 2. So I had copies of issue 1 there that I was selling, but when someone came and asked me about it, I would say they're $20, but they're free if you scan this QR code and back issue 2 right now at the table. And a lot of people did it, like way more than you would think.
That's good.
So I would just give away issue 1 and they would back issue 2 on the spot.
Oh, that's cool.
Pretty well.
Well, some awesome tips there. Some great discussions. We hit on a lot of stuff today. Thanks everybody for coming out. What I'd like to close things off is just point us for each of these campaigns, point us to one cool reward or thing that you're especially excited and hope people will give a extra thought to check out. Eric and Justin, kick us off. Something cool reward on Ballad of Dust and Blood. What do you want to highlight?
So we did a live event, and I made bookmarks and sheriff badges, which were cool. But I think our next stretch goal are tote bags, which and I have my own Steam printer, and I'm excited to try to make those if we can get to tote bags, which is actually like $500 more, I think.
All right, yeah, you're on less than 500 away from getting your Ballad of Dust and Blood totes.
Yeah,
cool. Clay, I know you like to streamline your campaigns, but any covers or any rewards in particular you want to shine a light on for the Blazing Blade?
Yeah, I mean, so because I do like to streamline, I want to shout out all the covers. I think all the covers are great. And so we do have a tier where you can get all the covers. And I think we've given you a nice price on that, sort of like I was talking about with the convention deals. We do a nice deal there. We have the print catch up at 40, and then I think it might be, is it 29 possibly? For you get all covers, it might be 39. I'm blanking, put on the spot, but we have
all 3 covers, 39. Yep.
All 3 covers, $39, which is a pretty great deal when you consider that, they're all like in the $14 to $20 range. Mick Byers and Wes Hartman did a great job on the main cover. Craig Tyfair who we were just talking about. He did a great cover, and Brian Silverbacks and Wes Hartman did our Universal Monsters variant, sort of an homage to the poster. So I'm really happy with how those came out. So yeah, go get them all. And I have to give a shout out to Cece, who left a comment earlier. Thank you for tuning in, Cece. She's a great supporter. I met her at a convention a couple months ago. So thanks for tuning in.
Shout out to Cece. Also, Clay is taking advantage of the recently rolled out feature that to highlight or to set one of your rewards as a featured reward. And he's doing this. This is kind of a pro tip for those of you that are serializing. Make the first thing available that catch-up tier, such that for people that are just discovering your thing for the first time. They're seeing a reward at the very front where they can get all caught up on everything, and the pledge level is higher than what would normally be showing up, which would be your lower price pledge. So that's a good little pro tip there.
Yeah,
and
that and secret rewards have been great additions.
Yeah, it's definitely cool to see that Kickstarter is just innovating and paying attention to what people are asking for. So don't be afraid to be loud. The Kickstarter team is listening. I know, because I've often, after I release a podcast where I'm reviewing one of their new features, I get a message from the team asking for some clarifications or from wanting to go over some of the things that they're working on. It's kind of cool. And Carl, round us out. What do you want to highlight over on Death Transit?
I usually, so every campaign I do, I usually do like a really limited commission tier, so people can commission original art from me, and it's always really popular and kind of sells out very quickly. So what I did was I created a tier that's like a 3-issue catch-up bundle, but also comes with I do a sketchbook for every one of these issues, and so the sketchbook comes with an actual drawing in it. So if you like,
nice.
I like to have it there. I think my favorite tier, the one I recommend to most people, is just the 3-issue catch-up bundle. It's like the first 3 issues. But if you want art, it's you can get that bundle also with like a little sketch in the book, which I think is a pretty good deal.
Absolutely.
And I've actually also used some of the secret reward tiers when I'm cross promoting with a couple of people on this campaign, and it's easy to use and works pretty well. Like, I've been happy with how that works out.
Very cool. Well, I want to congrats all of you on successful campaigns, and we'll be continuing to watch what you're launching now and in the future. Thanks for helping kick off this month of live streams with me, and highlighting some of the awesome stuff that's going on the Kickstarter platform. I really appreciate all of you. I will be back again tomorrow doing some streaming. Who will I be joined by? You'll have to find out, so tune in tomorrow. But until then, I hope everyone enjoys this great panel of comic talent and experience. And we all can't wait to see what you launch next. Thanks, everybody, for joining me.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tyler. Thanks, all.
Thanks, guys.
The Comics Launch Planner is going to give you a roadmap so you can launch confidently, whether this is your first campaign or you've launched a bunch. Hey, I'm George O'Connor. I've kickstarted 10 projects raising over $50,000, and Comics Launch is a big reason for my success. Tyler has studied Kickstarter for over a decade, and he's going to help you avoid pitfalls and give you the best insights to make sure that you and your project shine on the platform. He's also going to help you with the mental aspect so you can stay sharp and positive and professional throughout the entire launch. This planner is going to give you the tips and insights Tyler's created from over the years of studying the platform and helping hundreds of people launch their projects. As someone who's been with Tyler since the beginning of Comics Launch and has absolutely benefited from his insights and trainings, I cannot recommend the Comics Launch Planner enough.
I've been using the tools from ComixLaunch since 2020 to run all these successful Kickstarter campaigns. When it comes to running a Kickstarter, I never thought I could do it until I started using Tyler's tools and tips and tricks. He really has this great way of putting everything together and making it so easy to tackle. So something big and challenging like a Kickstarter campaign becomes really easy to do when it's broken down into these steps. My name is Melissa J. Massey, purveyor of fine fantasy comics and tragic shenanigans. I would recommend this to anyone who wants to launch a book or a comic on Kickstarter. It really breaks down the process and helps you to position yourself well so that you can stand out and deliver a fantastic book to your audience. I mean, the results don't lie, and the pile's getting a little hard to hold. So check out the Comics Launch Planner. It's going to be the best investment you make for yourself and for your creative business.
Before Comics Launch, I struggled to raise $3,000 on my first campaign, And since joining Comics Launch, I have raised more than $370,000 across more than 30 campaigns. That's a huge difference. It's quantifiable. Hey everybody, it's Clay Adams. I'm the writer of Blazing Blade of Frankenstein, Dream Quest, co-writer of Carmilla Unbound, Prodigal Son, and co-editor of the Nightmare Theater horror anthology. I wish I had this planner years ago. Tyler, what are you doing? Get on this. Start shipping these things out. Can we just skip the campaign? Let's go.